Hi, Shaf.
Hey, Praksha, how are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
Good, good, thank you. Glad to join you guys.
Me too. Um, so fitness and well-being. My first question to you would be, what's the importance of fitness in your life and in your lifestyle?
Yeah, good question. I think so personally, I think health and fitness has played a really important role for me, probably most importantly over the last 5 years. So I'm the co-founder of Bodyplot Limited, which is run by my beautiful and genius life partner Sonali, who you guys heard from last Tuesday
Yeah.
talking about eating disorders, which was a really interesting topic. But I was kind of always in the background running the company. Over the last kind of 4 years is more when I then came out to help clients on the front line. And that's really after appreciating what health and fitness has done for me personally. So um, I think health and fitness for me is one of those things which my day does not operate unless I'm prioritizing certain parts of my health and fitness lifestyle. So same as some might see it to have their morning coffee or, do your bed before you leave your room, open your curtains, those kind of fundamental things that you do every single day for me is how I treat health and fitness. So making sure I get my workouts in, thinking about eating a balanced plate, all of these things for me now come across very natural because I've kind of implemented into such an important part of my day.
That, that's good to know. And we talked about last week with your wife, we talked about eating disorders and things like that. And I want to know, so a lot of people think you can be fit only if you cut out certain parts of your diet, like
Mm.
whether it's sweets, whether it's carbs and stuff like that. I want to know your point of view on that.
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I think it's a really important question because currently, the kind of world that we live in, I like to call it information overload. So every direction you turn to, there's snippets of information, some good, some bad, some which can be taken in moderation, and others which can really kind of abuse your mindset. And I think the topic of balance and eating in a balanced way and thinking about how to involve things in your life and not have to cut things out is a really important topic, but actually something really hard to manage on a daily basis, especially because there's so many fad diets, there's so many trends currently going on. Everywhere you look, someone is doing something different, which seems to maybe work for them. So then when you ask that person, it might just be at a party or, being with a bunch of friends and someone's talking about the latest kind of fad diet or lifestyle they're following. And when you ask them what they're doing, they may well turn around and say, well, I've cut this out my diet or I've removed this completely. And so you start questioning that yourself, right? And you start thinking, well, hold on a minute, am I doing things the right way? Then should I also be cutting out carbs? Should I also be cutting out sugar totally from my diet? And actually, my point of view on it is, if you can lead everything you do in a way of moderation. So, you know, taking carbs as a perfect example, carbohydrates kind of carry this horrible stigma of something you should remove from your diet completely. Take out bread and take out all the stuff that you think actually is negative to your diet. When actually, if you think about it, carbohydrates is just energy. But
Yeah.
most people don't think of carbs in that way. And I think that stigma is because of lack of information. So I think if you can lead a lifestyle where you're not having to cut everything out of your diet, but just thinking about what you're eating in a balanced way. So am I getting enough carbohydrates into my diet? If I'm not, then why is that? Is it because I've created a negative relationship in my head with what that particular thing is? And I think the same thing with things like sugar. So every now and then someone's going to have some birthday cake or someone might offer you a bit of mithai for Diwali or something,
Yeah.
whatever it might be. And you kind of don't want to get into a place where you have such a negative relationship with food that you immediately have a bit of an anxiety attack when it comes to
Yeah.
thinking about that item. Rather than that, you just want to look at it and go, am I abusing this item or am I actually having it in a balanced way? And if you're having it in a balanced way, then there's nothing wrong with having it. So long as you're
Yeah.
treating the rest of your lifestyle in a really healthy way, so getting movement in, thinking about having a balanced plate overall? Are you constantly thinking about what you're eating, or are you eating blindly? And I think that's kind of where a lot of people maybe fall down a little bit.
Yeah. One of our followers, Disha, wants to know what would you advise to people that want to gain weight?
It's a great question, and actually, it's something which we help all of our clients with. So, our clients come to us with loads of different goals in mind, and it's not just weight loss. It's not just fat loss. We have clients who are looking for weight gain.
Yeah.
So it's quite a simple concept to think of, in that with fat loss or weight loss, you want to be in a calorie deficit. So you want to be burning more energy than you are consuming. With weight gain, it's just the other way around. So you want to be consuming more energy, more calories compared to what you're actually burning. But
Yeah.
it's very easy to do that in the wrong way, right? So if I said to you, okay, you can have 3,000 calories today, most people would probably consume that quite easily if they went and had a jack of potato, maybe some
Yeah.
McDonald's, a bit of cake or whatever it might be. But actually thinking about the right type of calories. So if you're in a calorie surplus, so having more energy than you're burning, so you can gain that weight, you want to be thinking about eating the right type of calories.
Yeah.
So thinking about involving in, healthy fats, getting the right amount of carbohydrates in, making sure you get enough protein into your diet. And the best way to do that is to really kind of break down what you should be having. So, and that's centered around, your height, your weight, your current lifestyle and activity levels. We've written some great blogs on our website about this, actually, where you can actually go in there and think about what type of foods and macronutrients you should be having. So macronutrients are your carbohydrates, your proteins, your fats, and your fiber. And thinking about, if you are trying to be in a position to gain weight, then what way should you be gaining weight where you are not consuming the wrong stuff? Because, like I said, it's so easy to have something and think, well, I'm trying to gain weight so I can eat everything I want, right? But actually, very soon you'll realize that your fat count or your carbohydrate count might be way over what you need.
Yeah.
So just trying to balance it out in the best way. So a good example we talked about with the client the other day was actually a small uh, a small cup of coffee from Starbucks, and we kind of asked people, how many calories do you think that has? And actually, it's so surprising, because most people are like, well, it's only coffee, right? So then there's maybe 70, 80 calories. But actually,
Mm.
that small cup of coffee has 250 calories.
Yeah.
So before you know it, it's so easy to consume calories in the wrong way. So just being mindful of the type of calories you're having, especially if you're in a
Mm.
position to try and gain weight, is really
Mm.
important.
Yeah. So I know you work with a lot of clients, and I know this coronavirus lockdown would not have been an easy challenge for you and what you do for a living. So what did you do to keep their motivation up and to keep up with their fitness goals during the whole lockdown and even now?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. I think lockdown has been challenging for so many people in so many ways, right? So there's not only been the physical challenges, but there's also been, and when I say physical, I mean obviously workplaces have changed, and our whole lifestyle has changed for very many people. But then also the mental health that follows, right? So, and obviously this great campaign that you guys are doing is so centered around that, that actually
Mm.
the mental health of people is massively impacted by having to be at home. And so
Yeah.
naturally, then what happens is, if your mental health is taking an impact, a negative impact, because of the current situation, then more than likely your motivation is also going to dip. But we work with all our clients on mindset coaching. And what I mean by that is, if we said to you, rely on just motivation to get to your goals, then every day would look different, because your motivation would go massively down if you receive bad news from work, or if you lost your job, God forbid, or you had to move offices or whatever because of
Yeah.
lockdown. Whereas if you're centering your goals around drive and what your real reason is, your real why, then even through lockdown, you'll sustain that kind of drive to carry forward. So, throughout lockdown, we've had plenty of clients who maybe have taken a bit of a mental dip, and just helping them remind themselves of why they're doing it. What's the real reason they started
Mm.
this in the first place? has actually really
Mm.
helped them to kind of overcome those kind of bumpy moments. And then also, I think the other big part of it is routine is really important. So if, obviously maybe you were a client of ours who was training with us 3 times a week, and you were able to go out for regular lunchtime walks because you worked in the city. Now all of a sudden you're cooped up in your room or your kitchen and you're working from home, and all of a sudden you feel like your entire routine's gone out the window, and that can take a massive impact as well. But again, trying to bring that routine back. So even if you are now able to go for walks from home, so keep that same routine in place. If you used to go for walks at 2 p.m. at the office, do what you can to do the same thing at home, and really rearranging your routine around your day to make sure you're still doing the things that you were doing before lockdown is going to be the best way for you to feel as normal as you can. I know normal is a bit of a weird word to use because nothing feels
Yeah,
normal at the moment, but as normal as possible.
yeah. So, okay, so I talk from personal experience right now, but
Mm,
over the last 1.5 years, even I have been very focused when it comes to fitness because I was massively underweight a year and a half ago. And
sure.
my biggest challenge was to gain weight in a healthy manner. And
Yeah.
being a vegetarian, that can be very hard
Yeah.
because it's very hard to gain enough protein as a vegetarian, right?
Mm.
And what would you suggest for somebody in my situation? How
Um,
do I gain that right weight?
so the thing about gaining weight is, like we said, it's very easy to consume the wrong calories, right?
Yeah.
So you can consume the wrong calories, and all of a sudden you may have increased on weight, but it's probably increased your fat count on your body. So
Mm.
now maybe you have a bit more body fat than you initially wanted.
Mm.
And the better way around it is actually to try and build lean muscle mass. Now, to
Mm.
build lean muscle mass, what you're doing is essentially you're training hard. So you're trying to lift as heavy as you can. And I'm just going to sidetrack a little bit and just talk a little bit about training styles, because
Yeah,
training
please.
styles are really important, right? So when
Yeah.
you're thinking about building lean muscle mass, it's not possible to do that if you're just running every day or if you're just on
Yeah.
a treadmill, right? It's
Yeah.
important to essentially lift resistance. So whether that's in the
Mm.
form of dumbbells, barbells, resistance machines, kettlebells, whatever it might be. But
Yeah.
essentially, you want to be lifting heavy. And at the same time as you're breaking your muscle fibers because you're lifting so heavy, you want to be
Yeah.
feeding those muscles with the right type of calories so they grow
Mm.
and become
Yeah.
bigger and in a lean way, so without lots of fat, right?
Yeah.
So the best way around it is to, number one, think about lifting as heavy as you can and trying to keep it progressive. So lifting, say, a certain weight, and then thinking about, okay, is this easy or is it hard? How do I feel? And kind of assessing yourself every couple of weeks. And then trying to lift a little bit heavier every single time so that your body learns to kind of push its own resistance levels. And then at the
Yeah.
same time, feeding your body in the right way. So going back to your question then about vegetarian and kind of where
Yeah.
to get your protein from, I completely relate. So I'm a vegetarian as well. I have to source my
Oh, wow.
protein from plant-based sources as well. And actually, you know what it is? It's and this is nobody's fault. It's just the kind of a topic which isn't spoken about as much because most people will rely on animal-based sources to find their protein.
Mm.
Now, if you're not able to do that because you're a vegetarian or a vegan, then there are so many other good options, things like tofu, soya products, and also loads of lentils and legumes. So thinking
Mm.
about what type, if you think about tofu or soya, because it's not your common product that you walk across in the supermarket.
Yeah.
Most people don't think of it, right? It's kind of like a bit out of the way. Even when you go and buy it in the supermarket, it's never kind of easily accessible, right? Like
Mm.
it's something which you have to go and find. And if you haven't bought it before, you probably have to ask someone like, where can I find the tofu? Because
Yeah.
it's not something most people buy. But actually, these are great plant-based sources of protein. And
Mm.
then also thinking about supplementing your diet with a vegan or vegetarian protein supplement. So,
Mm. Okay.
protein powders are something which you can add to your diet. It's not something we rely on. It's just a supplement to then add to maybe where you're slightly lacking on your protein count. But
Yeah.
I think in conclusion, it's really important to think about weight gain as one of those things which takes place over quite a long period of time. And you have to really stick with it, as I'm sure you probably have realized through your own journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's also something which I have had to sort of go through on my own journey. So making sure that I try and stick with a consistent level of calorie intake and a consistent level of trying to constantly lift heavier and push myself.
Yeah. So, so I know fitness comes in two parts, what you eat and how you train.
Mm,
So I know a lot of people think like if you want to gain weight, if you want to be fit, you have to go to the gym.
mm.
But I honestly don't think you have to be in a gym. Like you can do it from, you can use yoga or you can just do Pilates at home or maybe just get a pair of resistance bands and work out at home and you might just see the same results. But do you
Yeah.
think it's just fast? Do you think the process slows down when you do it at home?
So I don't think it's so. Number one, I absolutely agree that you don't need a gym, right? Like you
Yeah.
can definitely train from home, and I think actually loads of people have discovered this after lockdown because it was like all of a sudden, oh, there's no gym. What do I do? And so it was people discovering by themselves that actually, do you know what? If I want to continue my progress, I need to find
Yeah.
a way from doing it from home, right?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people already discovered that you don't need a gym. Um, but in terms of training styles and the different types of things you can do to try and kind of build muscle and gain weight and so on, or lose weight or just stay fit, um, yes, there are so many things you can do from home. So already the NHS recommends that we do 30 minutes of regular vigorous exercise, right? So daily.
Mhm.
Now, most of the time, people may confuse that as, oh, well, I went for a walk. Walking is a fantastic version of something you can do to keep fit, but actually it's not the only thing you should be relying on, right? So some of the examples that you gave were great. So resistance bands, fantastic. Actually, resistance bands is something we recommend all of our clients use within their workouts.
Yeah.
We've had clients who've gone away on holiday somewhere and actually they've not had access to a gym or any weights or anything. And we say to them, take some resistance bands. We'll give you some things you can do, and actually you're still performing a resistance move, right? And
Mhm.
anyone who knows, and any of our viewers who are watching who have used a resistance band before, know that if
Yeah.
you go like this enough times with it, your shoulders are going to
Oh,
start feeling it, right? So it's
yeah.
definitely something which pushes you. Um, but you know, yoga, Pilates, just resistance training from home. So you know, doing similar things that maybe you did in the gym, but doing them from home. Um, and also another great thing that's helped a lot of people over the lockdown that we found is the ability to join online classes.
Yeah.
So you can train from home, but you still feel like you have the guidance of a you know a personal trainer or a fitness coach so that you still feel like you're following something and you're not questioning whether you're doing it in the right way or not.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's it's very easy for people to on January 1st they'll wake up and be like, yes, this year I'm going to work out. Have you had clients that come to you in on the 1st of January or the 31st of December and then after a month they don't show up? What do you do to keep them, those kind of fitness freaks, motivated? I won't call them fitness freaks, but yeah.
Do you know it's a good one that because I'm really happy to say that actually we don't get that. We don't get people who sign
Oh,
up and then sign off. And the reason is, I'll be honest. The reason why is because, like I said, we when we at Bodyplot, what we do is we talk about your why a lot. So we talk about your reasoning. Like, what's the real reason you're doing this?
yeah,
Everyone's why is different, right? So you might be losing weight or gaining weight or you know whatever your goals are, they're going to be centered around something. So at the start of any journey, when we talk to you about your why, most of the time, well, all of the time, we end up digging so deep that people actually connect their actions to their reasons as to why they're doing it. So then what happens is that, you get to the end of January, and when everyone else around you has signed up to the gym, and then they're falling off and they're thinking, oh, forget it, like, put the gym on hold, and I'll go back to it when I want. All of our clients are sticking with it because they're actually on a journey for a purpose.
Yeah.
And these reasons look different for everyone. So we've got clients who just want to get fitter and healthier because they've seen maybe their parents haven't been able to be as fit and healthy. We've got clients who just want to feel better so they can run around with their kids more. We've got
Yeah.
clients who maybe have dealt with eating disorders and actually don't ever want to be in that place again. So
Yeah.
once you dig into your why, it's very, very unlikely that you're going to fall off the bandwagon. And that's what we found with clients who sign up. And that time around the year when everyone's kind of in the same boat, thinking about, oh, it's January 1st, what should I do? Um, my advice to all those people would be, number one, don't wait for January 1st, because it's just a date. It's just another date on
Yeah.
the calendar. It's going to be no
Yeah.
different. And if you dig into your why, then it doesn't matter whether you start on the January 1st or if you start on December 31st. The point is you found your why and you found your reason as to why you're doing it.
Yeah. One of our followers wants to know that is it ideal to continue with the same routine and stick to it for a long time, or is it good to change it up and do something different every now and then to keep your body more active?
That's a really, really good question. So two parts to the answer. The first part is there's something called progressive overload. So progressive overload is when you are progressively adding more load or resistance to your body. So you're forcing your body to learn to lift a certain amount of weight. And then as your body starts to find it a little bit easier because your body's getting stronger, you then gradually add to that a little bit more, right? So that over
Yeah.
time, you are constantly challenging yourself to get a little bit stronger and making it a little bit harder. So
Yeah.
from that angle, yes, definitely I would, really reflect on what you're lifting at the moment or what you're doing at the moment and challenge yourself to go a little bit harder every couple of weeks. And you'll kind of know that if in 2 weeks you tried to add 2 or 3 kilos to a particular move and it was too hard, that's fine. Just go back down again and then keep on trying and kind of really focus on keeping it as an upward trajectory. So that's the first part. The second part to that answer is I like to mix things up just so that you're always having fun. Because
Yeah.
if you're training and it's depressing you day in day out, there's a very high chance you're just going to give it up, because you've associated a really negative thing when it comes to training, right? Whereas if you mix it
Mm.
up and involve things that you also like to do, then you're far more likely to stick to it. So if you're somebody who enjoys running, for example, but your goal is to build muscle, then think about how you can get some running into your week. Because so long as you do it in a balanced way, you're not going to sort of negatively impact your goals.
Yeah. Yeah. So my one question towards you and towards your career would be, what is your biggest success story? Like what is that one story with maybe your clients or maybe your personal journey which you feel the most proud of?
Um, I'm smiling because I have two in my head.
Oh, you can
The
have
first
both.
one, I'll talk about is my own mum. So my mum has had an incredible journey within her health and fitness. She at one point was in a wheelchair. She was unable to walk without crutches, and this was after a number of operations that she had gone through. Um, and her legs were essentially in a place of the crutches. And essentially now she's in a place where she exercises, she goes for walks, she no longer needs sticks to walk. And for me, whenever I see that, it's a massive success story because not only, yes, because it's my mum and I love her dearly, but also because it's just proof that anyone in any position can get better. And
Yeah.
I think that's really, really powerful. And then second to that, I'll talk about my journey because I think it's nice for other people to know. So I love to help people with long-term illnesses or long-term pain-related illnesses. So
Yeah.
a lot of our clients are people who have, knee pain or arthritis or have had injuries in the past and they're trying to rehabilitate out of them. And actually, myself, I went through a number of my own health journeys, and actually finding my own way to try and use exercise and good nutrition to overcome them was really, really important. So I suffered with sciatica for 9 months. It meant I couldn't walk to the end of my garden. The test for me as to whether it was a good day or not was whether I could brush my teeth without sitting down. And if I had a day where I could stand up the entire time to brush my teeth, then I knew it was going to be a better day. And so when you've been through that level of pain, to then build yourself out of that and
Yeah.
strengthen your body, rehabilitate your mind as well, to a position where you can then start to go for walks, then eventually add exercise to your life, then eventually exercise every day, which is where I am now, and able to then help other people as well. For me, is a massive success story. I've still got you there. It's frozen.
Right.
No, that's fine. No worries at all.
Yeah. Sorry, you were saying?
Um, I don't know when I lost you, but I was just saying, I think being able to say to people that, people who feel like it's impossible to start or impossible to better
Mm,
themselves, I love being able to share my journey with them, or my mum's journey, or even some of our
mm,
clients' journeys, to be able to
yeah.
say to them, it is possible, and it doesn't matter how bad a place you think you're in, there's always a way to step up.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand that. And to be honest, even when I started, mine wasn't because of any health or anything, but I knew that in the long run, if you are not fit from when you are of a younger age, then it becomes harder to
Hmm.
stay that fit and healthy when you're a little older.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of people just around me that I could see that they didn't put in that effort when they were just a little younger, which was affecting them then,
Mm.
which is where
Yeah.
my fitness journey started.
Yeah. 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 And that's really, it's really great you're looking at it that way. We like to call it future proofing. So
Okay.
you're making sure that your future is going to be as healthy and as safe and as giving yourself a good quality of life as much as you can. But you're right, it does start ideally, it does start when you were younger. And that's not
Yeah.
to say that if you're a little bit older, you can't continue, because you can. We've got clients who have started at the age of 60. But I think it definitely is a case of starting as young as possible if you can.
Yeah. So we have one last question.
But just,
Um,
yeah, sure,
Sorry?
go on.
No, no, sorry, you were saying?
No, no, no. I was just actually going to say, just to answer the question from Amz,
Yeah, I was going to
about
ask you that
partners.
one as well. Yeah.
Um, I think overthinking is a big one here. So that's my answer to that. I think overthinking the routine is what most people then, they overthink it and then they bury their head in the sand and they kind of put it to the back of their head, right? Because it's right now. Whereas if you don't overthink it and you just simplify it, then you'll be able to approach it a bit easier. So think about everyone brushes their teeth every day when they wake up without overthinking, hopefully, right? Most people don't overthink having to brush their teeth. You just kind of get out of bed and you get on with it.
Yeah.
And actually, if you can treat your fitness with the same priority or your health and routine with the same priority, you'll soon find that things fall into place. So just having to think about, okay, like what things am I prioritizing? If I'm prioritizing my preparation, my food preparation, my exercise, and going for a walk, so long as you've identified those three things as a priority, then it means that you'll definitely think about how to plug them into your week. So
Yeah.
don't overthink it. Just keep it nice and simple. Think about what the priorities are, and then you'll find a way to plug them into the week.
Yeah. So any advice you would like to give to everybody that's watching, just as a small tip or anything for just being fit and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely say number one, if you're in a position where you think you can't do something, then surprise yourself, give it a go. So even if that is something like you are not doing anything at the moment, but you know you should be moving, you know you should be trying to stay fit, start by going for a walk. You know, just a 5 minute walk around your block. Get out the house, go for a walk, because actually that movement in itself is probably going to be a great domino effect on making sure that you can try the next thing. And the other thing I'd really recommend to you is make sure that you try to, just like you prioritize maybe your career, your family, and other things, make sure you also prioritize yourself and your health. Because at the
Mhm.
end of the day, if you're not doing that, then you're not going to be as good to other people. So
Yeah.
prioritize yourself first, and then you can be your best self to everyone else.
Yeah. That's actually some great advice.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for talking to us today.
Thank
And
you for having me.
I hope we can have another chat at some point. But yeah, this is really
Yes,
good.
absolutely. I'm so glad. And if anyone else does need any further advice, please do give me a follow and just ask me on Instagram. I'm happy to help or any questions from today's live as well. But thank you for having me. It was really nice speaking to you.
You
And
too.
good luck with the next live.
Thank you.
Take care. See you guys.
Our next speaker for today will be Davis, and he should be here any minute now.